Ever notice how the most powerful people rarely fight? They don't argue. They don't compete directly. They don't engage in battles others expect. Yet somehow, they always end up winning. While everyone else is exhausted from fighting, they've already claimed victory without throwing a single punch. What do they know that you don't? I am about to reveal Machiavelli's darkest strategy. The art of winning without fighting. Not avoiding conflict out of weakness, but transcending conflict through superior strategy. Making fighting unnecessary by winning before the battle even begins. Right now, you are probably fighting too many battles, wasting energy on conflicts that didn't need to happen, engaging opponents who could have been neutralized without engagement, bleeding resources in struggles that strategic thinking would have prevented. Here is what the masters understand. Fighting is failure. Every direct conflict is an admission that strategy failed to prevent it. The goal isn't to win fights. The goal is to make fights unnecessary while still getting everything you want. Sunday Tzu wrote it 2,000 years before Machiavelli. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. But Machiavelli made it practical. He showed exactly how to apply this principle in politics, in business, in relationships, in life. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to win without fighting. You'll have specific strategies to achieve your goals without direct conflict, and you'll never waste energy on unnecessary battles again. Are you ready to learn the darkest art of strategic victory? Drop this affirmation in the comments. I win without fighting. Strategy number 1. Win through positioning. Here is the first principle of winning without fighting. Position yourself so advantageously that fighting becomes unnecessary. When you hold the high ground, enemies don't attack. They negotiate, they retreat, they concede. Think about what positioning means in modern life. It is having skills so valuable that employers compete for you instead of you competing for jobs. It is having options so abundant that no single relationship can control you. It is having resources so sufficient that desperation never drives your decisions. When you are well positioned, you don't need to fight for what you want. It comes to you. Others offer what you'd otherwise have to demand. Conflict becomes unnecessary because your position has already determined the outcome. Machiavelli observed that wise rulers spent more time on positioning than on warfare. They built fortifications before enemies arrived. They secured alliances before conflicts emerged. They accumulated resources before they were needed. When crisis came, their position had already decided it. Here is the practical application. Instead of preparing for fights, prepare positions that prevent them. Build skills that make you irreplaceable. Cultivate options that make you uncoercible. Accumulate resources that make you independent. Your position becomes your victory. The best negotiators understand this. They don't negotiate hard. They position well before negotiating. By the time they sit at the table, their position has already determined the range of possible outcomes. The negotiation is just formalizing what positioning decided. Robert Greene wrote, "The best deceptions are the ones that seem to give the other person a choice. Positioning gives others the choice to accept your terms or fight your strength. Most choose acceptance. That is victory without fighting." Drop this affirmation in the comments. Position is power. Here is a framework for positioning. In any domain, identify what creates leverage. Then accumulate it systematically. In careers, it is rare skills and proven results. In relationships, it is options and independence. In business, it is unique value and market position. Build the leverage before you need it. The time to build position is when you don't need it. When crisis comes, there is no time to position. You fight from wherever you stand. But if you've positioned well during peace, you stand in an advantageous place when crisis arrives. The fight doesn't happen because your position has already decided it. Think about the most powerful people you know personally. Are they constantly fighting? Almost never. Their position prevents most conflicts before they start. Potential opponents calculate against their position and choose not to engage. Their power manifests as absence of challenge, not victory over challenge. Strategy number 2. Make fighting too costly. Here is the second principle of winning without fighting. Make the cost of opposing you so high that no one chooses to pay it. Deterrence is victory without fighting. When the price of battle exceeds the value of victory, battles don't happen. This is how small nations deter large ones, how individuals deter bullies, how businesses deter competitors, not by being stronger than every opponent, but by making opposition cost more than it is worth. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Fear here isn't terror. It is cost awareness. When others know that crossing you will cost them dearly, they don't cross you. Not from love, from calculation. Here is how to make fighting you too costly. Have consequences for those who attack. Follow through consistently. Let the reputation spread. Over time, potential opponents calculate the cost before engaging. Most decide it is not worth it. The powerful understand that one decisive response prevents dozens of future challenges. They invest in early enforcement that establishes the cost of opposition. The investment pays dividends forever as potential opponents calculate against it. This doesn't require being aggressive, just certain. The certain consequence deters better than the aggressive threat. People believe what you've demonstrated more than what you've declared. Demonstrate once, deter forever. Here is the practical application. Identify what you need to protect. Establish clear consequences for violation. Enforce immediately when tested. Let the word spread. Watch how quickly people decide you are not worth fighting. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Crossing me costs too much. There is a crucial balance here. The cost must be believable. If you promise consequences you can't deliver, deterrence fails when bluffs get called. Build the capacity before advertising it. Let demonstrated consequences speak louder than threatened ones. Nuclear deterrence works because the cost is unimaginably high. Personal deterrence works because the cost exceeds the benefit of attacking. Calculate what potential opponents might gain by attacking you. Then make sure the cost clearly exceeds it. The math does your defending for you. Nations spend fortunes on defense specifically to prevent war. The investment in deterrence saves the far greater cost of actual conflict. Apply this personally. Invest in establishing consequences early. The investment prevents the far greater cost of fighting battles that deterrence would have prevented. Strategy number 3. Win through allies. Here is the third principle of winning without fighting. Let others fight for you. Build a network of allies whose support makes fighting you a war against many. No one wants that war. They choose peace instead. This is ancient wisdom. A single stick breaks easily. A bundle of sticks resists. Your allies are your bundle. Alone, you are attackable. Together, you are formidable. The alliance prevents the fight that individual weakness would invite. Machiavelli observed that the most successful rulers spent enormous effort on alliances. They knew that wars were won before they started. In the alliance structures that determined who would face whom, get the alliances right, and fighting becomes unnecessary. Here is how alliances work to prevent conflict. Potential attackers calculate not just their strength against yours, they calculate against the combined strength of your alliance. This calculation almost always favors peace. Building alliances requires providing value. You must be useful to allies for them to support you. The value exchange creates the mutual protection. You help them not be attacked. They help you not be attacked. Everyone benefits without anyone fighting. Here is the practical application. Identify who shares your interests. Find ways to be valuable to them. Build relationships before you need them. When potential conflict arrives, your alliance makes it obviously unwinnable for opponents. They choose not to start what they can't win. Robert Greene noted, "Know who you are dealing with, Do not offend the wrong person. Applied to alliances, know who your potential enemies' allies are. Factor them into your calculations, and let opponents factor your allies into theirs. The expanded calculation usually prevents the fight. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My allies are my armor. Here is the key to effective alliances. They must be visible. Hidden alliances don't deter. Make sure potential opponents know who stands with you. This isn't boasting. It is strategic communication. Deterrence requires knowledge of what opposition faces. Alliances must also be credible. Will your allies actually support you if needed? Build mutual obligation through genuine exchange. Help them when they need it. They'll help you when you need it. Untested alliances deter less than proven ones. The most sophisticated strategists build alliance webs where attacking any node triggers response from multiple others. No single point of vulnerability exists, because attack anywhere triggers defense everywhere. This network structure makes opposition nearly impossible. Strategy number 4. Win by making winning easy. Here is the fourth principle of winning without fighting. Make it easy for opponents to give you what you want without fighting. When submission is face-saving, people submit. When it is humiliating, they fight even when they'll lose. Sun Tzu called this building a golden bridge for your enemy to retreat across. You want them to retreat. Make retreating attractive. If retreat means humiliation, they'll fight to the death. If retreat means dignity, they'll take it gladly. Machiavelli understood that excessive demands create resistance. When you want everything, opponents fight for anything. But when you want reasonable things and present them reasonably, opponents often concede without battle. The powerful know that total victory often costs more than partial victory is worth. They settle for getting most of what they want without fighting rather than getting everything through costly conflict. Here is the practical application. When seeking something from potential opponents, make compliance easy. Let them save face while giving you what you need. Present your victory as their reasonable choice rather than their humiliating defeat. This applies constantly in negotiations. The best negotiators make the other side feel like winners, even while giving up position. Both sides leave satisfied. No fight occurred, but you got what you needed. Here is the key insight. People fight against their interests all the time when fighting protects their ego. Remove the ego threat and the fight disappears. Let them feel good about giving you what you want. They'll often give more than you'd have won through battle. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I make surrender easy. Diplomats understand this deeply. Treaties are structured to let both sides claim victory. Agreements are worded to protect everyone's dignity. The substance matters less than the framing. Get the substance while they get the framing. Both sides win. No fight required. Here is a technique the powerful use. Offer something symbolic that costs you little but gives them face. In exchange, receive something substantive that costs them little but gives you value. The trade seems equal. They save face, you get substance. Everyone is satisfied. The golden bridge isn't weakness. It is wisdom. You are not making surrender easy because you can't win the fight. You are making it easy because winning through surrender costs less than winning through fighting. Same victory, lower price. That is strategic superiority. Strategy number 5. Win through patience. Here is the fifth principle of winning without fighting. Time is often on your side. Patience allows circumstances to do what fighting would do at greater cost. Waiting wins wars that attacking loses. Many conflicts resolve themselves if you simply wait. Opponents exhaust themselves. Circumstances change. Alliances shift. Problems that seemed urgent become irrelevant. The patient person finds that many fights become unnecessary with time. Machiavelli observed that impatient rulers often created the wars they feared by acting too soon. The wise ruler waited, watched, and let situations develop. Often, the development eliminated the need for action entirely. Patience also exhausts aggressive opponents. They want quick victory drawn out. Conflict depletes their resources and will. If you can simply not lose for long enough, they often decide the prize isn't worth the prolonged effort. Here's the practical application. When conflict threatens, ask whether time favors you or them. If time favors you, delay, don't engage. Let circumstances work. Many opponents defeat themselves if you simply wait them out. The patient person appears weak to the impatient. Good. Let them underestimate you while time works in your favor. Their attacks dissipate against your non-resistance. Their energy depletes against your stillness. Eventually, they give up or circumstances change. Either way, you win without fighting. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Time is a sort of river of passing events, and strong is its current. Flow with time instead of fighting against it. Let it carry your opponent's energy away while preserving yours." Patience is often the strongest strategy. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Time is my ally. Here is a patience principle. Situations that seem urgent rarely are. The urge to act immediately is often manufactured by those who benefit from your hasty action. The patient person waits for the urgency to reveal itself as real or manufactured. Often it evaporates entirely. Patience also allows information to emerge. Early in any conflict, information is limited. Wait, and more information arrives. Better decisions become possible. The patient person makes decisions with better data than the impatient person who acts on incomplete information. There is a difference between patience and passivity. Patience is strategic waiting while remaining ready. Passivity is giving up. The patient person is coiled, prepared to act when the moment is right. They're not acting now because now isn't the moment. When it is, they'll move decisively. Strategy number 6. Win through redirection. Here is the 6th principle of winning without fighting. Don't meet force. With force, redirect it. Use opponents' energy against them. Let them defeat themselves while you simply guide the process. This is the principle of martial arts applied to life. The skilled fighter doesn't match strength against strength. They redirect the opponent's force, using it to create the opponent's defeat. Minimal energy in, maximum result out. Machiavelli observed this in politics constantly. The wisest operators didn't block opposition. They channeled it. They let enemies attack in directions that didn't matter. They guided conflicts toward outcomes that served them. They won by steering, not fighting. Here is how redirection works practically. When someone attacks you, don't resist directly. Ask, how can I guide this energy somewhere useful? Sometimes the attack can be redirected against the attacker, sometimes against a third party, sometimes into emptiness where it exhausts itself. In arguments, redirection might mean agreeing with some point and pivoting to what matters. In competition, it might mean letting rivals exhaust themselves on irrelevant victories. In conflict, it might mean giving ground that doesn't matter to gain ground that does. The master of redirection appears to lose small battles while winning the war. They seem to give ground while gaining advantage. Their victories are often invisible until complete. By then, opponents realize they defeated themselves through their own attacks. Here is the practical application. When facing opposition, pause before reacting. Ask, where could I redirect this force? Often there is an angle that turns the attack to your advantage. Find it, use it, win without the cost of direct conflict. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I redirect, not resist. The Aikido master exemplifies redirection. They don't stop attacks. They guide them. The attacker's own momentum becomes their defeat. No force is required from the defender, only skill and direction. Learn to be the Aikido master of your domain. Here is a redirection technique. When criticized, don't defend. Agree with the part that is true and redirect to what serves you. Yes, this project had challenges, but the results exceeded targets. The criticism's energy is redirected to support your conclusion. In competitive situations, redirection might mean letting rivals win battles that exhaust them while you win the war. Let them celebrate tactical victories that don't matter. Conserve your resources for strategic positions that do. They fight. You redirect their effort into irrelevance. Strategy number 7. Win through making fighting irrelevant. Here is the final and most powerful principle. Transcend the game entirely. Make the fight others want irrelevant to your goals. Win in a dimension where their opposition doesn't exist. This is what visionaries do. They don't fight for market share. They create new markets. They don't compete for positions. They create new positions. They don't struggle for existing resources. They generate new resources in their dimension of operation. Traditional opponents are irrelevant. Machiavelli saw this in the most successful political operators. They didn't play the game others set up. They created new games where they made the rules. Fighting became irrelevant because they were operating on a different level entirely. Here is the practical application. When facing conflict, ask whether you can change the game entirely. Can you redefine success so their opposition doesn't matter? Can you shift to a dimension where their strength is irrelevant? Often, the most elegant victory is making the fight obsolete. Apple didn't fight for the existing phone market. They created the smartphone market where previous phones became irrelevant. Netflix didn't fight Blockbuster for video rental. They created streaming where rental itself became irrelevant. This is winning without fighting at the highest level. Robert Greene wrote, "Everyone admires the bold. No one honors the timid. But the boldest move is often making the fight irrelevant. It requires vision others don't have, courage to pursue it, and execution that creates new reality before opponents can respond." Here is the ultimate truth. The fights you avoid fighting are the fights you most completely win. Every battle you transcend preserves resources others waste. Every conflict you make irrelevant is a victory without cost. This is Machiavelli's darkest and most powerful strategy. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I transcend the fight entirely. Here is what happens when you master winning without fighting. When you position so advantageously that fighting is unnecessary. When you make opposition too costly. When alliances protect you. When you make surrender easy. When patience works for you. When you redirect rather than resist. When you transcend the game itself. First, you preserve resources. Others waste. Every fight avoided is energy saved, resources conserved, capacity maintained. While others bleed from battle, you remain whole. Second, you maintain relationships, others destroy. Fighting creates enemies. Winning without fighting often preserves or even creates allies. Your network grows while others shrink through conflict. Third, you achieve more with less. The same goals that others pursue through expensive conflict, you achieve through clever strategy. Your return on investment vastly exceeds theirs. Fourth, you become feared in the most useful way, not as dangerous, but as unbeatable. Not as aggressive, but as inevitable. Others learn that opposing you somehow always fails. They stop trying. Fifth, you operate at a higher level. While others are stuck fighting the same old battles, you are creating new realities. You are playing a game they can't see, much less compete in. Sixth, your reputation transforms. You become known as someone who always wins without seeming to fight. This reputation itself becomes deterrence. Others avoid challenging someone whose victories seem effortless. Your history of winning without fighting prevents future fights. Seventh, you can afford to be generous because you are not wasting resources on unnecessary conflicts. You have surplus to give. This generosity creates goodwill that further reduces opposition. The cycle reinforces itself. Non-fighting leads to resources, leads to generosity, leads to goodwill, leads to less opposition. The ultimate practitioner of winning without fighting appears almost magical. They navigate conflicts others can't avoid. They achieve goals others fight for and lose. They accumulate while others deplete. The secret isn't magic. It is strategy executed with discipline over time. If you've made it this far, You understand something that most people never will. That the greatest victories require no fighting. That the most powerful people rarely struggle. That strength is proven not by battles won, but by battles made unnecessary. Most people will continue fighting unnecessary battles forever. They'll waste resources on conflicts that strategy would have prevented. They'll damage relationships that clever positioning would have preserved. But not you. Not anymore. If this video showed you how to win without fighting, smash that like button. If you know someone exhausting themselves in unnecessary battles, share this with them. And if you want more content on strategic power, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now drop this final affirmation in the comments. I win before the fight begins. Remember, in a world where everyone is fighting, the one who achieves goals without fighting achieves the most with the least cost. Be that person. Position well, deter through cost. Build alliances, make surrender easy. Use patience, redirect force, transcend the game. Because the supreme victory isn't winning the fight. It is never having to fight at all while getting everything you want. That is Machiavelli's darkest strategy. Now it is yours. Use it wisely, and watch how everything changes when you stop fighting and start winning. Starting today, identify one conflict you are currently facing. Apply one of these 7 strategies. Position better. Raise costs, build alliances. Make surrender easy. Use patience. Redirect force. Transcend the game. See what happens when strategy replaces struggle. The art of winning without fighting is a lifetime practice. Each situation teaches new applications. Each success builds strategic intuition. Over years, the practice becomes automatic. You'll look back and wonder why you ever fought when strategy was available. Sunday Tzu said, "The acme of skill is to subdue the enemy without fighting." Machiavelli showed how. Now you know. The only question is whether you'll apply it. Starting now, choose strategy over struggle. Choose winning without fighting. Choose the higher path to victory.